Hello, and welcome to another episode of A Friendly Film Take, the film vodcast brought to you by Film News Blitz, where we do friendly film chat and friendly film debate. My name's Dan Lawrence, and I'm joined once again by Oscar Trinick. Oscar, how are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. How are you?
I'm good. Excited to talk about films with your good self. And we're going to be talking about a few things you've watched, a few things I've watched, talking about, I guess, some exciting new young filmmakers on the scene doing new things, and then some tired old franchises desperately maybe needing some of that fresh injection. But let's start with you, Oscar. You've been to see the two, I guess, horror movies that everybody's been raving about, Obsession and Backrooms, made by absurdly young filmmakers from the world of YouTube. Which one would you like to start us off with?
I'll get the more negative one out of the way. I wasn't a massive fan of Obsession,
Okay.
which I think is, I don't know. Well, people seem to be loving it at first. It's an interesting film. These YouTube guys are interesting because who have we got else? We have the Filippo brothers who did what was it? Talk to Me and Bring Her Back, which I wasn't a massive fan of either. So it's an interesting route to filmmaking now, and I guess horror is just an easy way to get into that because it's like it just makes money every single time. It's like the only indie thing really that you can call indie that does actually make money consistently. Like no other genre does that.
It's really impressive, isn't it? Really, I think low budget,
It's kind of
high
sad.
yield, isn't it?
It's good, but it's sad that that's the only genre that does that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. Obsession never really clicked for me. I know what was it? What was the budget? Like 750K, I think. I know Barker's like 26. I just found everything to be a bit. I found it to be quite flat. I think I think a lot of its really scary moments kind of derived from a lot better films, and I think that if your highlights of the film are not your own, then I think I'm going to have a bit of a problem there. So that one never really landed for me, and I think it's kind of an obvious film. But Backrooms, on the other hand, directed by Kane Parsons, who is 20 now, kind of
20.
crazy. Yeah, which both films are making so much money. Backrooms, I know, is just demolished
A24 record,
its
I think.
predictions. Yes, it is. Yeah. I think it's a much more interesting film. I think I certainly didn't love everything about Backrooms, but I found it just a lot more fascinating as a project than I did Obsession. Um, I think there is some glaring failures. Like I think the script, which he didn't do, I think is kind of the obvious letdown of the film. But all of the stuff inside the Backrooms I found to be interesting, well directed, and I think I know it's kind of a cliche thing to say, but he does genuinely show quite a lot of promise directionally. And I'd like to see him. Write his own stuff in the future, to be honest, because he does his own music as well. The score in the film is all his. He does that generally. Um, but yeah, 20-year-old is kind of crazy. Like it's hard for anyone to make a film, but still, I am. I was impressed. There's. I don't know. Have you seen? Do you know much about what the Backrooms is? Have you seen any of like the short films and things like that?
So I have read up. So
Hmm.
it's interesting because obviously it's very different from Obsession. Obsession, Kerry Barker wrote, directed, and I think also had a hand in editing. He's 26, did a year at film school before dropping out and doing his sketches with one of his co-stars in Obsession. And I think, like you said, I think he's cited things like Hereditary and Ari Aster films being very sort of influential on him. And I guess if you really do hold those films in a really high regard, if you're seeing someone, I guess, pastiching or imitating, then I can see why your opinion is that. But Backrooms is different, isn't it? He's 20. And it started off, didn't it? It was like on 4chan and subreddits, just an image.
It was an image, yeah.
And then he took it when he was 16 and made YouTube found footage shorts. And now a feature film expanding on that.
Which is pretty is kind of nuts to think about. Very specifically Gen Z, in a sense, for better, I think, in this. But no, the found footage stuff is the strongest parts of film for me. It's what the film opens with. It's what the film is known about, and I think it's what he is most comfortable doing because he knows it so well. I think you can tell some of the literally anytime someone opens their mouth, like a heavy dialogue scene, the way it's shot, you can tell like he is just not used to that, or the script he's being offered is poor as well. And I would have just preferred a film that had less talking and was longer and more focused on these wandering through the interiors, kind of slower things like that, which is the portions that I love, and did have some good scary moments because there's like this kind of chasey sequence in the middle where they're kind of going through all different kind of environments and rooms in the space, and it is wild. And I think it's yeah, I think maybe by the end it gets um it loses itself a bit, even though, well, I think the film gets a bit too tangible and too real in a sense, because I think I prefer those backrooms being kind of slightly unknown and
Yeah,
ambiguous and things like that, and things start to kind of materialize, and I think it loses its kind of effectiveness as an environment in a sense. But no, I thought it was pretty good. I was thoroughly impressed, and I think it's one of those films where I've kind of gone out of it. Yeah, I thought it was all right, but like I'm happy with kind of what he had done, and just one of those rare moments where I could genuinely see quite him having a bright future.
yeah. I
And I
mean,
hope
it
so.
looks like they're definitely both going to go on to big things because I think Barker has already got another film in the can, and then you've got to
Mm,
assume that Parsons is going to go do more. And both of
mm,
the films are part of Blumhouse Atomic Monster, aren't they? Jason Blum and James Wan's
yes,
co-production
James.
house.
Yeah.
So I guess it's good that they've both got those mentors. And I read an article in Hollywood Reporter and sort of cited some interesting quotes from that, combined with the box office results of both the films in an article in Film News
Mm,
Blitz, where I think Wan said that horror is saving the film industry, and that goes back to your point. It's
yeah.
a good thing in a way that at least there's one genre at least that is being kept, I guess, sacred and it's backing young talent. But it's a shame that other genres aren't taking notes and going, okay, maybe if
Mm,
we peel back a little bit on budget, let's swing for the fences a little bit more. Like it'd be nice to see, I guess dramas put up, and because what's also good is these films are being it's wide releases, isn't it?
yeah.
Whereas you can have your independent voices in drama, but they're going off trying to find like narrow releases, or they're going to streaming or movie,
Mm,
or they never make it out of film festivals, so they don't seem to get the same.
mm,
Whereas it seems to be horror has a space, then you've got franchises have a space, and
mm.
maybe biopics have a space.
Yeah,
um,
I think horror is almost becoming a kind of franchise in itself
hmm,
uh, now. But it's difficult because I think with other genres, like they just don't have that wide of a pull that horror seems to have,
yeah,
um, which is unfortunate. And it's something that I mean I would like to see change, but it's not as simple as that.
no, and I mean, also I think the YouTube medium is really interesting. Obviously, they've both come through in this form, and I
Mm,
guess you could compare it to maybe the likes of a J.J. Abrams in the past. The Super 8, the home video filmmaking. We've got this whole new
mm,
method of people to get into the industry, which I guess that's exciting in itself. I guess my assumption is studios probably quite like this because on YouTube you can see how something is doing. Like you can
mm,
see the product, you can assess the product for yourself, but then you've got the view counter, you've got the followings, so you can see where audiences might come and you know, like Backrooms as a YouTube short had a lot of a following. Curry Barker's
mm,
got a lot of a following on social media, so that's
mm.
it's almost like this new wave of talent. Maybe this is where it's all going to come from, which is interesting. And I guess, good to see that new voices can come through into cinemas, which leads me onto what I've been watching. Well, the last cinema release that I saw in the cinema, which was The Mandalorian and Grogu, which I went because a friend wanted to go see it. I'm a Star Wars fan. Like, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I am a Star Wars fan, particularly of the live action, particularly of the original trilogy. Obviously, I grew up in cinemas with the prequels, so as a child, those were very exciting. But then you sort of you take a step back from the prequels and you realise that they're a bit naff. And then obviously the sequel trilogy was met with loads of excitement. Force Awakens obviously had that tangible, tactile nature to it, and obviously was very reminiscent of the original's plot. So that landed well. Then The Last Jedi went in a new direction, which I think pleased the likes of yourself, because that's your favourite of the sequel trilogy. But then you had these, I don't know, it seems to be since Disney have taken over the franchise, there's really been this sort of fractured, quite volatile fandom nature to it, where things can get U-bombed, things can get blasted, things have to be a certain way, which then spawned, I think, the mess that was Rise of Skywalker, where the sequel trilogy is it's not a trilogy of films. It's several different voices, several different knee jerks. It's very reactive. Like, George Lucas isn't exactly an amazing director or writer, but at least he had a story that in the originals, he handed over to better writers and directors to complete. And in the prequels, at least he had a cohesive story from A to B that he knew he wanted to do. But after Rise of Skywalker, I will say Rogue One is my favourite of Disney's films. Obviously, Disney Plus comes and you get Mandalorian, you get a bunch of other TV projects, you get Jon Favreau involved, you've got Dave Filoni involved from creating the Clone Wars, and he pulls a lot of his characters from that series into live action, a sort of fan service thing, if you ask me. But anyway, Mandalorian is probably the most successful of all the Star Wars Disney Plus shows, created by Jon Favreau. And this film was initially, from what I've seen and read, was initially going to be a 4th season. That immediately was apparent because the film itself just doesn't serve a purpose. It's meandering. It doesn't put the characters on any sort of journey. Mando and Grogu don't, if there's no point A to B for their character. There's no arc. They're exactly the same as they were at the end, as they were at the start. There's, just two-dimensional characters. There's not really a sense of threat at any point. There's a lot of CG, like a lot of Mando fighting CG monsters. It's just not very compelling. And my friend who wanted to go see it leant over to me at the end when it finished and said, that felt like a movie that could have been an email. I thought it was a very, very apt review. It wasn't like it was terrible. I wasn't going, oh my God, this is awful. I was just going, like, this is just washing over me. Like, I'm not feeling any impact. Obviously, loads of other people, more prominent podcasts and reviewers have said, like, this just feels like a cynical marketing, they wanted to try and see if they can pulse, because that's the plan. Star Wars is shifting back to the big screen. We've got more movies coming. It feels like this was like a litmus test. Like, can we just retcon a TV show, put it in cinemas, see who watches it? And then also we'll get a bump in merchandise sales. It was made for a relatively modest budget for a big film, 160 million, which it made back in its opening weekend. It then has slashed 70% in its second weekend. It's behind the 2 films we've just spoken about. It's just a shame. It was missing a lot from, I think, Star Wars should be these, based on popular mythology, standard tropes. It needs to be, these great grand adventures like the originals were. And I think there is a capability to still do that if you're not being lazy and cynical when you're making your film. It was just a real shame as a Star Wars fan to just watch something and not feel affected by it. Maybe their future films will be better, but it is worrying now that basically Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are steering the ship, as it were. And I'm not sure whether they understand or whether they'll feel compelled to really push the boat out. It's almost like you see in other franchises, if we tie it back. So Zach Cregger, obviously horror, really got acclaim with Weapons. He's now been given a franchise in Resident Evil to
Hmm.
reinvigorate. I feel like you need to do something like that with Star Wars. Really give it some warmth and something creative, rather than just sort of mindlessly pumping something out. So
Yeah,
bit of a shame.
I think it is. It's kind of telling that Andor, probably the best thing Disney Star Wars has put out, in my opinion, is like the one thing that Favreau and Filoni don't like,
Mm.
which I think is interesting. But yeah, I have no interest in seeing this at all.
No, don't worry, don't waste your time. And that's another thing is Disney Plus. You pay your monthly subscription. You can watch all the Mandalorian if you love the Mandalorian.
Mm,
This film, you're going to pay £20 a ticket, but it's not going to give you anything on top of that. So I don't know whether
mm,
Mandalorian fans will even be rushing out to see it, which is probably why its second weekend is such a disaster. But I'd watched the first 2 episodes of Andor in the past, and then after watching the Mandalorian Grogu and reading everything about Andor, I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go start binge watching that. I'm nearly at the end of series 1, and it's unbelievably better. It's very compelling. I mean, it's quite dark. It's very adult for Star Wars. There's scenes of torture and stuff like that. But it's got everything that I personally feel makes Star Wars tick, which is the tactile nature. You've got sort of
mm,
some really some really characters you can get behind. And it just feels more human and more you can reach out and grab it. I mean, it's been talked about loads, but the prison escape scene and that one line of Andy Serkis when he says, "I can't swim." Like, oof.
mm.
Come on, like just because it's a franchise doesn't mean you need to pull your punches. Give us some good storytelling, and that's what Andor does. It's like, yeah, okay, this is Star Wars. That label enough will hook you in, but I'm going to give you a reason to think that this is something even better. And elevate
Mm.
it. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't. That series costs a lot to make, but put that effort into the big screen and give us something really, challenging to watch and exciting and with a lot of love and a lot of heart and a lot of intention. Don't be lazy would be my call to Lucasfilm and Disney. Don't be lazy.
Mm.
So you don't have to worry about watching that. On the flip side, though, I was hooked in by an Instagram reel on, I think it was from BBC iPlayer's account, of a clip from the first episode of Dear England, which is the 4-part mini-series adaptation of the stage play, which if people don't know about, it's a stage play basically charting Gareth Southgate's tenure as England manager in the world of football. And Joseph Fiennes, Ralph Fiennes' brother, is Southgate. And the reason I then wanted to watch it, because I'd never really thought about watching it before because of trauma associated with the national England football team. As
Mm.
wonderful, I think, as Southgate's reign was, it was full of very near misses. Um, and I may be cynically thinking, how could you, what's the story? What's the story? But watching the clip and hearing Fiennes' voice being almost identical to Southgate's, his mannerisms, and even obviously costume and hair made him look as much like him as possible. I just found myself drawn in to this performance of this sort of chameleon-like performance. And then watching it, it's full of, there's emotional touch points that will tug on the heartstrings of England fans and remind you of stuff. But it's just anchored by this incredible performance, which made it really well worth watching. I thought all the actors playing the football players don't look anything like them, which is quite funny. But it's not really important because they're not really the main focus. I will say that the actor playing Harry Kane, he does the voice. He adopts Kane's voice really well, but not in a way like he's taking the piss. He's just like like honestly portraying what Harry Kane's voice sounds like. But I just found myself, just glued to this performance. It just sort of, I just think it's well worth watching if you're a football fan, you're an England fan, reminding yourself of the good times under Southgate and the bad moments as well, which were unavoidable in the end. But yeah, just anchored by his amazing central performance.
In that the entire concept of that show just seems so funny and random to me. I just
It
couldn't
is.
take it seriously if I tried to watch it.
It is random, but it's not just about. It's not simply just about the football. It ties it into sort of the national conversation. You'll see it like the sort of the political tensions that sort of underline sort of what's going on at the time. So you'll see things of like when COVID happens, when obviously there's the racial tensions, and that's all tied into the football team. And the title "Dear England" comes from the open letter I think Southgate wrote just before the Euros 2021 kicked off, where he's calling for sort of national unity and, you know, football being about more than just sport. And so you've got that sort of that geopolitical element in it as well, which is kind of, and it's also a lot about personal trauma and getting over your, you know, because it all pulls back to his penalty miss in Euro 96 and sort of how that affects him mentally, how he overcomes that, how he puts on a positive mental sort of attitude to the players, how he gives them confidence. And so there's a nice psychological aspect about it. It is a weird concept. It's a weird gateway into a drama. I'll be amazed to see what the stage plays like, which I've heard loads of good things about. It's a very weird gateway into a thing. It's like here is a like a you know, fictionalized account of an England football manager who didn't win a tournament. You know? But I mean, he does mention in there, it's worth saying, he's been more successful than basically any other England manager. So there you go. Apart from
is there really any competition though?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like he gets so much stick, doesn't he? But I think it's between after obviously Sir Alf Ramsey was the manager of the World Cup winning team. It's between whomever that is up to Southgate. I think Southgate has won more knockout games combined than all of those managers that preceded him in that middle chunk. So there you go. So, and he did it by being a nice guy, which is, you know, he's not a prick, is he? He's a cool guy. But there we go. I thought I'd just mention that. I've obviously been enjoying Rivals. I need to catch up on that. But yes. And next up, I'm going to go see Tuna.
Oh, I saw that at it was the surprise film at London Film Festival last year. So it's been like since October since I've seen it. It's pretty good. It's
Cool,
you'll enjoy it. It's pretty good. It's all right.
Yeah. I don't really know a lot about. I don't know who's made it. I don't know who's written it. I don't know who's shot it. I just know that it's well. Even my wife described it. She said it was giving her Baby Driver vibes. Obviously, because it's a guy. Because hearing impediment, there's a musical nature. He gets drawn into.
Yeah.
So, but Dustin Hoffman is kind of you know, it's nice to see him on the screen. So that's a big sort of draw for me. And to see Leo Woodall in something get in, because I didn't really jive with his Apple series. There was the sort of the maths.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't called. No, I don't know what it was called. But I just didn't really pique my interest. So I'm undecided on him. Because I mean, in White Lotus, I thought he was very good. So I'll be interested as well. But what is your next? Have you got a next watch coming along?
Disclosure Day, gotta be.
Yeah,
New Spielberg next week, of course.
Nice.
Very much looking forward to that. And that's the thing. This kind of like YouTuber thing, we got Spielberg, and like I hope it is gonna make a lot of money, but like the conversation is like it's not really there. It's like you wouldn't know that there's a new Spielberg coming out next week. With Josh O'Connor, who's like one of my favorite working actors. But yeah, obviously very, very excited for that.
Yeah, me too, actually. One thing I was a bit annoyed about, I think the latest trailer showed off the design of the aliens. And
yes, I am. I'm staying away from that as much as possible. Because I don't really want to see
how ridiculous. I don't get. Which shows maybe they don't have any idea of how to market this film, other than going, it's Spielberg. Which, I mean, for a lot of people, for people like you and me, that's enough to get you in the cinema. But for the average audience. That's not enough, I don't think. I think they really need to be pushing it. But it seems like all the marketing attention's going towards Toy Story 5 at the moment. I've seen a lot of that, which is interesting. A franchise which its last two films felt quite final, but whatever.
Seen a lot for Supergirl, which I think looks pretty terrible as well.
Yes. I'm really not.
Not.
I mean, hope it's good. I guess because you never want people to put in a lot of effort and it be rubbish. But and obviously there's a lot of fans. I guess there'll be a lot of young girls who will want to see, there's Superman. So you want Supergirl to be up on a pedestal as well. But yes, I don't think it looks. It has too much of a Guardians of the Galaxy aesthetic for me.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's not. It's a different thing, isn't it? And I don't even know if it feels like it's got a visual connective tissue to the Superman film that came out last year. It looks very, very different. But maybe it'll be good. Hopefully, it'll be good. I'm seeing a lot of Masters of the Universe content as well at the moment as well.
Yeah, I have too.
I think I know it's going to be crap, but I might go watch it just for a laugh. I feel like it might be fun. I might just go, this is absolute trash, but it's like fun trash, and I don't mind a bit of fun trash, so I might go see what that's all about. But yeah, or you never know, it might be something like Dungeons and Dragons and just be like some really amazing, like quite nice piece of IP handling.
True.
That was a film that surprised me, and
yeah, same.
But then nobody went to see that, did they? So we haven't got another one. So that's a shame.
No,
but
that's a shame.
Oh well, we'll be here talking. Toy Story 6 will come out in a couple of years, obviously, and we won't get a Disclosure Day follow-up. Not with follow-ups. But anyway, okay, right. A wonderful chat. I think we should end on our recommendations as we normally do. What are your recommendations, or are you?
Wait. Is this like stuff coming out?
Can be stuff coming out, stuff you've seen. Tony Scott film.
There is a small film called Blue Heron coming out at the end of June, which I saw last year in London. It's already come out in America, but it is really, really wonderful and quite sad drama. I would highly recommend that. I think it comes out on like the 26th or something. But yeah, that's really, really great.
Perfect. Okay. Blue Heron. And I'll probably go with Dear England. I think I'm gonna tell people to watch that. Just go enjoy Lizzie Fiennes transforming into Gareth Southgate. It's a weird premise, but it does work, I think. So that's my recommendation. And there we go. And World Cup fever's around the corner, so it's timely. I'm already in full delusional mode, despite wearing a US top right now. But yes, what a lovely place to end. Oscar, thank you for joining me. And
no problem.
Thank you for joining us. Do your likes and subscribes, your comments, and all that jazz. But for now, that's end scene, I suppose.